So I'm gonna start a series called What is the American Dream? Most of the people in my life are immigrants or first generation Americans. I thought it would be really important to interview them and talk to them about what the American dream means to them, especially in the political climate in the United States today. So I'm here with my amazing dad again. Why don't you tell them your story, Dad?
So I'm originally from India, South India, place called Madras, formerly. Now it is known as Chennai. So right after my graduation, I moved to the Caribbean. And because I always had a fascination with the Caribbean. So right after my graduation, applied to several places, and I got accepted to Barbados. So that's where I first moved in, and I was there for about 2 years. And then I moved to Jamaica. That's where I moved from Barbados to West Indies to do my residence in psychiatry. At that point in my third year, I decided I'm not going to stay there right after finishing my 4 years of residency. So I decided to move away, and I applied to a couple of countries, and one of the countries I applied was Bahamas, and they accepted me, and I went to Bahamas. So all these years, I never really had an aspiration to come to United States. I always felt America is not for me, but I always wanted to be away from India, so I've always wanted to explore and be in a different country, different culture, and all of that. So right now I'm in Bahamas. I'm working as an attending psychiatrist, and then my wife used to come there, and she was doing her medicine, and when she finished, she came to join me, and she was working in my hospital and also another hospital, and the year was 1980. So because although I've been in the Caribbean, different countries I can go, I cannot become really a permanent citizen anywhere, regardless how many years. Probably in Jamaica I would have gotten my citizenship. Anyway, my wife was at that time is a citizen of the United States, so I thought that may be the best move for me to move to the United States, because I can establish myself, start to put in my roots and stay in one place. And so we came here, first landed in Miami, where my wife's family were all there, and so we started there our life, and from there I moved to Boston to do my second residency, which is another nightmare, which I don't want to talk about it. But so anyway, looking back, my move to United States in a way is a blessing, because we moved here, and my wife wanted to have a child, and finally we got my daughter.
Did you want to come to the United States?
Well, at that point in the Bahamas, I really decided I wanted to come to the United States. Before that, I was not keen on coming to the United States, because I was doing fine, I was comfortable, and I was playing tennis every day, and I was going to the beach every day. Life was so easy, and not a lot of money, but very comfortable and easy life. And there's a lot of respect for doctors as opposed to here. So it was nice. I started my residency at the Boston Medical Center, and the very first day I came home, and we decided I want to leave the United States. I don't want to stay here. I want to go to New Zealand or Australia. So somehow
After the first day?
After the very first day.
What had you heard of the American dream, or what did you think about when you got here relative to the idea of an American dream?
See, I have a different perspective on that. And an American dream is, America is very open. And not only very open, if you are willing to work, and if you are willing to work hard, the sky is the limit. You can establish yourself, you can make money, a lot of money, live comfortably. But I was not very keen on money and all the time, and even now I'm not very keen on making a lot of money. And so my idea of dream, American dream, is somewhat convoluted, I should say, because I wanted to establish myself. It gives me a permanency. No one can tell me to leave.
But if mom didn't have a citizenship,
Yes,
don't you think it would have been harder for you to maintain residency in the United States?
that
Or
is absolutely true.
especially in the current political climate, it's a lot harder for immigrants to stay here, or for anyone in general to have an idea of an American dream,
Yes.
because it's been so perverted by this idea that we're not welcoming to immigrants and we don't want refugees.
This kind of climate, it is very, very difficult for someone who's coming here to establish. The things they go through is really very heartbreaking to me. You need to understand, America is built by the immigrant. America is not, there was Native Americans and the rest of the countries built by the Americans. We had Germans, we have Irish people, we have Chinese, we have Indians. All these people came and made this country as the number one country, very powerful country, and like that. So it's very easy, as I said, if you are willing to work hard, and before this current administration, it was welcoming, and but with this current administration, it's going to be very difficult. If I did not have my citizenship, I don't know if I would have came here. But at this time, I think anyone who's willing to work hard, and if the government is willing to provide, and when I say government, I mean institutions, willing to provide opportunities. And there's a plenty of opportunity as long as you're willing to work hard and very sincere and honest about your work and work ethics and all of that. The first generation Americans, like my daughter, who was born here in Boston, and Boston is a very cosmopolitan place, and that doesn't mean that there is no discrimination. There is discrimination all over, and sometimes very overt, sometimes it's very subtle, but it does happen. And it is very difficult for first generation Americans like my daughter to, although it's an open country and there's a plenty of opportunities, but there's always underlying preference, I should say. I don't want to use the word discrimination, but there is discrimination, and it is very hard for her. People who are qualified, people who are overqualified, people who are qualified for the job, the discrimination is still there, and that is always a hurdle.
What are some of the obstacles that you had to deal with when you came to this country?
There are times where I felt I was not given the right treatment. But luckily my wife was a citizen, and I was able to get a citizenship within 6 months, I believe. And after that, things began to go much smoother for me. But I am in a position, my job, my mindset is, and my profession is to care for people. That's what I do day in and day out. To sufferings, but I see the sufferings, but I feel for people who are going through this. When I hear the news, it's really heartbreaking. When I see people are deported, that's really heartbreaking to me. One terrible experience, when I went to Puerto Rico in San Juan, when we landed, at that point, maybe I didn't have...
What was this?
In San Juan, maybe before you were born, I think. They detained me, and because I was not a citizen, and I did not have a green card at that time, I think. So they detained me, and a lot of questioning and interrogation, and it took a while. And the second one was in Mexico, where they did not believe that I could be a doctor. I was a citizen at that time, but still they did not believe, or maybe they had doubts whether it's I'm falsifying or fabricating and things like that.
Why do you think that?
That could be maybe because of my color, maybe because of my profession. I also experienced something like that when we drove into Canada at the checkpoint. At that point, they had a lot of suspicious look, and detaining and questioning and all of that happened. So I would say those are the times I felt, There are hurdles, and luckily I got through some of those things. It wasn't a long ordeal at that time. That means is the discrimination is still there, regardless of your profession and all of that.
People of color in this country, even if they work really hard, sometimes are disenfranchised just because of the system.
Correct.
So you said even if you work hard in this country, you can succeed. That's what the American dream is.
That's the bottom line. The American dream, the definition of American dream is if you work hard, and if you work hard enough, you can make money, and you can make your dream. What is a person's dream? Wanted to have a good life, a comfortable life, house, a car, nice kids, and send the kids to school, good schools, and all of that. All of that is here. For the minorities, that's the dream, but they all come here, all migrate here with that dream to have a good life, but the discrimination gets into their way. People, in spite of their hard work, in spite of their honesty, there's a discrimination. Some of them may not be able to achieve that dream, and only part of them may be able to achieve part of the dream. So there's always a hurdle for minorities. All of those people are definitely going to experience some kind of discrimination, because here, although it is, as I said at the beginning, the country is built by the immigrant, but still it's the white supremacy, the white colonist kind of mentality is still very pervasive, and that is a big problem here.
So do you think that you have achieved the American dream?
I believe so. I'm quite happy, although happy in the sense underlying there is a current flows about what is happening in the country, what is happening in the current administration, the political system, the immigration, and all those things. So there is always a kind of apprehension when you hear about it. You always feel, oh, you know what? I am not a American in the sense. Born white American, although I'm an American citizen, but still, you are an expatriate, and then you are a naturalized citizen, but not a real born citizen here. But my daughter is a born real American, but that's again does not cut the same way like a white person who is born here. So there is a difference, and that difference is going to linger. That difference is going to continue, and that difference is going to interfere with every step of your life, and whether you feel it or not. But although I have established, I'm almost on the verge of my retirement, but still I feel when I hear all those things, there is apprehension. The underlying apprehension, unconscious apprehension. Remember, I'm a psychiatrist, so this unconscious fear and apprehension is constantly there. Although nothing will happen, but there's always, when you hear things about it, you for a moment, for a minute or so, you do feel. You are also an immigrant, although you are a citizen, established citizen, and all of that. That doesn't rule out you cannot have a dream. You need to have a dream, and you need to have hope. Things will happen, and things will get better.
So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, share it if you want to.
I think it's very, very important for the younger generation, as a matter of fact, all generations, to discuss this important topic. And thank you very much for listening and watching. And as my daughter said, please subscribe.
Thank you, Dad.